Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
I'm going to open the hood, go under here, release lever, there's a little indicator, a little pictograph of a car. And the release lever for the hood is here. Lift up on the hood, find the safety. It's right here above the grille, so push it to the passenger side. And just put the prop rod up. You can put your hood in the service position by lifting it up. And then if you follow down here, you put the prop rod in this extra little hole here on the hood. And we'll let that sit there. And now your hood's open higher and you've got some more space to work. We use a 10mm open-ended wrench. We're going to disconnect the negative battery terminal. Just loosen it up. You don't have to thread it all the way off. Just get it to a point where it's loose. And it'll slide off the battery terminal. Then we'll put it aside here. Use a trim clip tool to pop these two clips out, holding air in this air intake duct. Just pry them up. Put them aside, you can reuse them. Lift up this intake duct and it'll kind of slide out of the air box. And we can put that aside. We're going to remove the protective covers from the drive belts. I'm going to start with this one over here. I will use a 10mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. Put it aside so we can reuse it. And grab this one here, thread it out with my fingers, and I'll put that cover aside with the bolts. I want to remove the metal cover over here that's over the alternator. I'm going to start with this 10mm bolt over here, using the same 10mm socket, ratchet, and extension. Now it won't come off because it's bolted here where the alternator bolt goes through, so I need to loosen that. This is a 12mm head bolt. You can use a 12mm socket, extension, and ratchet. You just have to loosen it up because it's like a U shape to it. And then this will slide right off. And very important to loosen the tensioner for the alternator. You need to loosen the 12mm bolt that's under here before you loosen the tensioning bolt, because otherwise it's not going to move. This locks it in place. So I use my 12mm socket, extension, and ratchet. I'll loosen this up, and then I can go up here with it and loosen this. This bolt is new. Yours might be kind of rusty. We had this off before and it already broke from being too rusty. So you'll want to use some sort of rust penetrant on this probably. But just loosen it up. This belt will start to get loose. The alternator will move because it's also loosened here. Should get to a point where it's pretty loose and it'll just come right off. Get it off the crank pulley and just put this belt aside. I'm going to loosen this 12mm nut down here for the tensioner pulley for the AC belt. Using a 12mm socket, and ratchet. Get it free, you don't need to take it all the way off. I'm going to spray some rust penetrant on the tensioning bolt. Use the 12mm socket, extension, ratchet, we'll loosen it up. You just want to make sure that you definitely loosen this lock nut first, because if you try to loosen the tensioning bolt, the part that holds this pulley on can either be plastic or sometimes it's a real soft metal and you can break it if you don't loosen that lock nut. Just going to keep loosening it so I can get the belt off. Pop the belt off and put it aside. Reinstall air conditioner belt that goes on the inside and down around the tensioner and up over the AC compressor. sure it's sitting in all the pulley ribs. There's a 12mm socket and ratchet. And it's pretty long. I'm starting to tighten this up, and I can feel the belt tension starting to increase. So I'm just gonna go a little bit more. You don't wanna over tension it. You should have a little bit of deflection, but you also don't want so much that it slips on you. That feels pretty good. Then we go down. You need to tighten the locking nut here on the pulley. And just so it gets tight, then you stop. The AC belt is tensioned. And install our new alternator and power steering belts. I'm going to start on the crank. Whatever way's easier to get it on here. Make sure it's fully seated. Sometimes that holds you up. There it is. Around all the pulleys. Tension the alternator up. The tensioner bolt, we had trouble with it before. It was sticking, and replaced it. And there's a little bit of copper never sees on there. And again, just check this belt. That feels pretty good. Now we'll tighten down the lock bolt here. So now you've got to put your protective cover on here. Get these little ears, they're gonna go around this bolt here. Kind of goes in between this washer and this other washer. Let's see if I can get this out with the gloves on. I'll just slide into here. That lowers down. You can actually put this bolt in so it's adjusted. Just put it in my hand right now. Now I'll tighten up the alternator mounting bolts. Once you feel it get tight, you should be all set. You can tighten up this bolt here. Feel like it tight, just stop. So this little plastic cover, go over the AC compressor. Install this bolt here. This one installed. These don't have to be super tight, they're just holding on this plastic. Once it stops, it's tight enough. And the same for this one. And that one's all set. Reinstall the intake duct, slide into the air box. We'll line it up on the radiator support. Push the little push clips back in. Reconnect the battery. Job is complete.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.